Hello and welcome to Pedantic Handwavium, the podcast that tries to explain fictional worlds using science. I'm Simon.
And I'm Jeff.
Jeff, I want you to imagine
Simon.
a world.
Okay,
I guess I should have said
got
this
it.
before, because you could be imagining any world. I'm realizing really open-ended question.
Yep.
Imagine a fantasy world, a medieval world, a D&D campaign, if you will.
Okay, got it.
And imagine that there's a hero in this world. He's young, he's strong, he's obviously an orphan, because all heroes...
Because every good adventure is
Every
an
good
orphan.
adventure is an orphan, or has been cast out by their family. And I want you...
That tracks.
He's a dragon rider. He can use magic.
Like you do.
And I want you to picture, what name do you have in your head for that person?
Stephen. With an F.
You know what? That's better than the original name that they were going to give to Eragon.
What was it going to be like?
It's going to be
John?
Kevin.
Kevin. Oh, that would have been great.
It's one of those things where you realize fantasy names, sound ridiculous out of context of fantasy worlds, but real names sound ridiculous in the context of fantasy worlds. Like, here's a man named Murtaugh and Oris and Godelbedur and Kevin.
And their friend, Kevin.
So now, in my mind's eye, because I don't think they ever really mentioned Kevin's weight. It's Kevin from The Office. Is Eragon.
All right, I'll assume that means something to somebody.
God, Jeff, it's probably the most well-known sitcom of our generation.
No, it is, and I have sat down, watched like 2 seasons of it, waiting for it to get good. It's a bad show.
Hands down. I do not like The Office. I have still seen The Office.
I have done everything I can to delete it from my memory.
I mean, really, you just gotta be... Yeah, no, that's totally fair, actually. It's not a very good show. I don't know why people like bad sitcoms. There's so many good sitcoms out there that never made it.
Right?
Anyway, so this week we're doing Eragon. We're doing the
book. I assume the book. There's a movie too, right?
Oh, yeah. I have I don't mean to crap. As a person who is currently sporting a quarantine haircut,
Just gotta shave your head.
pretty much what I did. The haircut on the actor for Eragon is suspiciously similar to MacGyver's mullet, and that's
fine.
the point in time where you, as a producer or a writer or a director or a casting person or literally anyone in production, and
Anyone
looks at
involved.
it and says, maybe this isn't what people want.
No, I think they really had it dialed in.
You think that it was a really...
Oh, no, you're right. That is an exact description of that haircut. Oh, wow. That's bad.
Yeah, no, it's not good. It's really, really not good. And I don't know why they stuck with it. No one wants... So, I get it. You have to give you cannot make, the super badass character, okay? There's some great characters that have mullets. Solid Snake has a mullet. MacGyver has a mullet. You need to, add a goofy element to characters. But if you have a character that is in a fantasy world, the goofy thing cannot be their hair.
Right.
Because then you wonder, is it just a style, or is it something that's supposed to be goofy? I feel like someone should have been like, guys, this isn't what fantasy people want, okay?
Someone bringing water bottle to the actor. Are you sure?
Is this the choice you want to make?
You can just get your hair done outside of this, and then they have to adjust.
And then you at least give them the option to think about the hair they're giving you. Anyway, that's my rant about how just The Eragon movie was bad. I would say the Eragon movie is the original The Last Airbender movie. Anyway. So kind of like the main thing in Eragon, I guess we should go through the plot. I always forget that there's a plot to these things.
Yeah, it's a small town boy who learned he could do magic and was perfect at everything. The end.
Pretty much. It's about a boy whose parents are missing. He's an orphan. He lives with his uncle or something. Cousin. Yeah.
One of them.
I think it's his
Same
uncle.
difference.
And he finds a blue rock. The blue rock turns out to be a dragon egg. He becomes a dragon rider, which is like this ancient order of soldiers who were magical and rode dragons and had cool swords. And then he finds out, spoiler alert for a series that's been out for
a long time.
Yeah, that's pretty much it. And like they have cool escapades. They have to, free
cool escapades like wars and stuff.
Yeah, like he has to kill his brother, and his dad was a torturing psychopath, and the girl he likes doesn't like him back. Normal stuff.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. And just odd dialogue options in this. I've been reading excerpts from it, and a lot of weird dialogue choices. Again, I don't really need to be throwing shade at someone who's clearly more successful than me. But
it was also written when they were like 15 or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, the guy wrote it when he was 16.
So yeah, we can cut him some slack.
Yeah, and that's true. And I haven't really read into the later books. And I think they get better.
I'd imagine they probably do.
So this is going to be kind of our first foray into a fantasy world. I don't think we've ever done a fantasy world before.
Yeah, I don't think like a normal sword and sandal sort of... Well, that would be lower fantasy, but like a high fantasy story.
I feel like a lot of what we should do, like the reason I want to start with this one is because it allows us to answer a lot of things without like making assumptions about other fantasy worlds. Because I would like us to go to like D&D and things like that.
Yeah, and I think at least some stuff kind of operated with different assumptions in this world.
Yeah. So let's get started. The first thing is the magic in this world is language based.
Right.
It revolves around the idea that there are such things as true names, which are like an ancient language that allows you to like summon the powers of words and then use them to like with your own personal energy manifest things. So how does that work? There's some weird things. I guess I should say there's some weird things like the word for fire, which is Brasinger. It doesn't manifest the same way for everyone. It's all about like how you, and this is the issue. Okay, fantasy writers out there who listen to our podcast. There's no such thing as a true name. Language is completely subjective. There's no way. And like this is like a linguistic rule that there actually isn't like the perfect word for something or the true word for something, because each individual word contains the cultural and the subjective elements inside of it. It cannot represent that object.
It is those, the inflection and the culture and the knowledge of like the person is what informs the true name.
Yeah, which is
like the idea behind like using that as a concept, I think.
Oh, so you're saying like it's like the personal truth, like personal true name.
Well, I mean, it is an objectively true name, but it is informed by like, what is subjective to the person.
Okay.
So, like, to know someone's true name is to really empathize and, know their understanding of something.
Okay, I guess that makes sense. I still think it's stupid.
Well, you're not wrong. I'm just trying my best.
Okay, so that's what it is. Like, what is it? I think, what is it the connection that some people have? So, like, elves and dragon riders can use magic. That they have to the world, that they have to use the true name for things to summon these powers. And these powers, again, are not, they're subjective. They're whatever you feel like your power should be. I know, crazy, right?
Like, I was waiting for a question, but I think you just took another sip of coffee instead.
I did. Well, that's my question is, what is going on here? How does this work?
Well, I think we need to bring into a little bit of it. Well, yeah, we can start with, like, each... Yeah, it's real difficult.
Like, we should start with, like, let's figure out how Brasinger works.
Okay, and that is, like, make fire thing, right?
That's, like, yeah, that's just the word fire. So you can use it to create a small fire. Eragon uses it to create like a fire arrow that explodes. Stuff like that.
Huh. Are you sure he didn't, like, whisper any other magic under his breath, or...
Nope.
It's just the same fire as everyone else?
He only knew one word, because he had overheard it, and that's the word he uses.
Huh.
And actually, they go into saying, like, if you say the true name for water, someone might create, like, a river, another person might create, like, a sapphire, because that's what they associate.
Well, and I remember this being a scene where, what's his face? Eragon? That's his name. Was being taught magic, and, like, yeah, don't, like, make water, because that's super energetically expensive, and you will die, but call water from the ground.
Yes, that is true. The one thing I do like about this magic system is that there does seem to be some very good balance between the amount of work it takes to do something and the expenditure of energy it takes to do something.
Mm-hmm.
So clearly this has to do with, like, they're consuming... Do we think it's caloric energy?
I mean, I think that's what it was.
There is some, like... It's a little weird because there's a scene in the book where Eragon has, like, completely expended all of his energy and he's crawling through, like, it's not a desert, but it's like a plain, like a prairie kind of area. Mm-hmm. And he's grabbing onto plants and he's sucking up their life force to replenish his own stores. There's something that is extra about the caloric energy, I would say.
Yeah, and there's some way to, like, siphon it from other things, or, like, to channel it through other things.
Yeah.
Where rather than, like, using yours, you're using, you know, your friend standing next to you.
Yeah, or, like, Eragon can use his dragon's energy.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm trying to think, like, calories, like, what do calories have in the real world that would, like, apply them to something that could be transferred? And I would think that what if they, as, like, humanity in this world, don't have, like, the necessary, like, NADP plus kind of transference of energy,
mm-hmm.
And instead have something that is more, I don't want to say ephemeral, more transferable? Does that make sense?
I get kind of what you're saying, where... Man, it's real hard to describe it, though, isn't it?
It is. But it's like the things that actually generate energy in the body
mm-hmm.
are can be transferred. So let's assume, just for now, I know this is probably wrong, I believe you have to be touching something to be drawing its energy. So it at least has to move through. It's not like so ephemeral or so out there that it's transferring through space without connection.
Yeah, that makes sense at least, because if that wasn't the case, you could just snipe world leaders from wherever you happen to be.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, no, that's actually definitely true. I wonder if they ever... I cannot believe that they do not answer that question. But you're right. So what if it's like an interface issue? What if it's like the people who use magic, there's like a common ancestor. Oh, but you can use the magic of people who don't know how to use magic. But maybe there's like I'm trying to think, like, maybe there's
you
like
can use their magic, or you can use their, like,
force,
energy.
Their energy.
Oh, okay.
And I'm trying to think, like, maybe there's like a common ancestor, and I hate to be bringing up an old idea, but maybe panspermia. I'm like thinking really hard. I just realized that I've been looking out my window this entire time and not looking at my mic while I've been talking.
Trying to think of possible things. Maybe it's I like the idea that it is like the energy is transferred rather than chemically, like, broken down in the body. So, like, they get caloric energy from eating by, like, you know, shoveling potatoes into their mouth. But then they get, like, the actual nutrients to use that to make cells and things by actually ingesting the potatoes. But only the caloric content is through their hands.
Oh, I like that idea. So you're saying there's, like, essentially two forms of energy here. There's like a like a chemical energy, and then there's like a separate energy that is yet to be determined. TBD.
Yeah. Good old TBD energy.
What if it's something as simple as just like the like heat energy, or like like something that's more fundamental than chemical energy, where it's like heat and pressure.
Yeah, and that is using that like heat energy, converting it into, creation or drawing out a thing or causing combustion.
Yes.
That makes more sense to me than like just thinking real hard and then you get real tired and you pulled some water up from the ground.
I mean, I feel kind of bad because that's what I have inside of my fantasy book that I've written, is that you just think real hard and then you get real tired. You have to get real tired, and then the only thing you can do is bring water up from the ground.
Right. A very limited magic in your world, huh?
Yep. And the book is called Water Pushers. I like this.
I'm looking forward to when Water Pushers hit the shelves.
I like this idea because let's say, for example, that if what you're doing is kind of controlling heat and pressure somehow with your body, we haven't figured that part out yet, but that makes sense. Like, you're creating a vacuum to kind of like a sump to like pull water up from the earth, which is something that actually exists.
It's magic.
It's
in this book.
I mean, it exists in the real world.
Okay.
Kind of doing, I was about to say Hohenheim of light, but the flame alchemist kind of thing, where you're like combusting the oxygen that already exists in the air to create fire. Okay, so I like this idea, and I like the idea that creating is very expensive, because at that point in time, what you're essentially doing is like nuclear fusion.
Right, yeah.
Which one would think would be very expensive energetically. Okay, wow, I like that. So how do we think that they control? I guess heat kind of makes sense, but it also kind of doesn't. How do we think that they control heat and pressure? Like, do we think that their hands are very porous, and so they can create vacuums?
I mean, it's only like a limited number of people who can do this, right? Like, it was elves and some people or something?
Yeah, it's like elves and dragon riders. But dragon riders are pretty much elves.
But, yeah. Yeah, so maybe that's just like is an elf thing, that their hands are also like toasters.
Okay. I like that idea, actually. Because if you think about it, it's kind of difficult to transfer heat. The question I have is, what keeps them from destroying themselves, I guess, is the, so yeah, I can like put toaster irons in my hand and attach them to an electrical circuit, but that doesn't mean that I will not be burned. Imagine how freaking crazy it would be to slap by someone who had toaster irons for hands.
Where you just like expect the slap and it's just so much more.
Yeah, it's just so much more. Like, that like was like kind of bumpy and very warm. I have an idea. What if so they have the power to control both heat and pressure. So what if one of the things they're doing is they're creating like vacuums inside of their body to like insulate their heating coils from the rest of the body. So they probably can't like do a sustained flame for heat for very long, but they wouldn't be able to do that anyway, because that would require them to constantly be burning energy. Man, becoming skinny.
So yeah, no, that supports itself easy. Though.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, look at that. Look at that internal consistency. That's what this is all about.
That's the best we got here.
It's the best we got. We're just trying to create it. So there are some weirder magical skills. Namely, so yeah, we have like the physical, like we have evocation magic down. Maybe transmutation, transfiguration. But I am wondering, what about like divination? So there's two spells mentioned in this. One is called scrying, and it's called the Dream Stare. Its magical words are... Oh, we never answered that. Why are they using the magical names for things?
All right, how can make internal consistency for this?
Well, it's good. So in the past, we've normally gone with like it needs a way of focusing the mind.
Right.
But I want to see if we can do something different because I don't like reusing our old
material. Yeah, no, I agree with trying to find new ideas. How would knowing the true name of something and understanding its its subjective understanding of itself help your toaster hands affect it better?
Maybe. Okay, so I know. Okay, so what if understanding the true name of something means it within that word? Okay, so let's assume that this is like the purest objective form of that word. You understand all of the mechanisms behind it as well. So like,
okay, yeah, like, and that's all just kind of tied up into the language.
Yeah. So like, once you learn the word, like, I'm looking at one right now. It's drama kupta. Is that kopa? Copa. It's got to be drama copa, which means dreams.
See, this is why you're bad at magic.
Exactly. I just can't pronounce it. Yeah. So like that's what I'm saying. So like they always have the ability to use toaster hands, but they have it's difficult for them because they only once they know it's like a mnemonic device. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's like that, or like a what was it? Like a synthetic language where like the word informs what it is. So like you can have Welsh train station names that are magic words.
Sure. You mean like how Welsh train station names inform where they are?
Yeah, hold on, let me
While you're doing that,
Google the name of this and send it to you. I'm not going to try to pronounce it because it's very long and it's very Welsh.
I'm getting coffee.
Okay, well, this is going to be cut out anyway, but I'm going to continue filling in time because it'll be maybe slightly more annoying for Simon later, and I'm okay with that. I'm just going to copy and paste this bad boy.
That was the first ever Pedantic Handwavium mid-episode break. Wow, that's
Welsh, my guy.
I might look up a way of pronouncing that and insert it into the... Or maybe
and like what it is, like it is a description of how to get to it in Welsh.
That is okay. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
Yes. And yeah. So that's I think that's the best way to do it. It's like the language is a roadmap for the natural world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So how does scrying work? Back to what I meant to get to.
Man, what a segue.
Yeah, right? Scrying and then there's another thing that's like going into someone's brain. Like you can like read their thoughts and probe their brain. How does that? Because that's not really like a physical property.
Is it just scrying or the other thing? Like, do you just say the name of the spell, or are you including the name of the person also?
As far as I know, it's just the name of the spell.
Well, then I have nothing, because it would make a lot more sense if you needed, like, some connection to the person, like, you know, every other instance of how scrying works.
I think, it must be, I'm looking through this beautiful, beautiful wiki fandom for the Inheritance books. Mm-hmm. The rules in the books. Scrying is used by many characters throughout the book. By Eragon to contact... I'm not going to read this all. This is... Yeah. No, you just kind of need to... No, okay, so here we go. You do need to be, like, kind of connected to the person to scry on them. Okay. It's theorized that like even just having like a familiar mind or things like that, like when you reach out, that will help. So there seems to be like from what this looks like to me is it seems like there's like, and this is not a scientific explanation. This is more like poetic waxing to describe it. Is that there's like like the human world. Like material world, and then layered throughout that is like a mind escape.
Okay.
I don't think that's what it is, but that's what I'm like. That's what the best way to describe the rules are. Where, like, you can see brains, but you maybe not know who they are, unless you know, in the material world, who they are.
Okay, well, it's a good start. And bringing it back to the magic system, I think, like, using that, like, informing, like, okay, I'm doing scrying magic, and now I'm looking for this person that I know I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Or, like, doing scrying magic and input, like, as a variable at the end, the person that you're looking for.
I think it's more doing scrying magic and then looking for the person that you know.
Okay, yeah, that seems to fit with the description that you gave a little bit.
It seems like I say that because it seems like you can scry someone without knowing who they are or where they are. So, like,
okay,
you can't. It would be like an undetermined variable, but maybe the variable isn't like it has to be a person's name. Maybe the variable is just like hero or friend or I don't know.
Yeah, no, and that fits with the linguistic magic where how you say the word changes it slightly to be like for the specific person.
I find that tough because I feel like there's not that many vocalizations that humans have. That would be one for every single person in the world.
Well, sure, why not?
I guess this is just very complex language.
Well, it's that, and then like it's a high fantasy world. Like there's far fewer people in it.
It's true, but I feel
and
like
they all have like weird names. They're all not all named Kevin.
Yeah, that's very true. I don't know how much I really like the idea that there's like a word for every person. Or yeah. I feel like
I think that's the concept of the true name though. That like even if it's maybe a little far fetched, like
is that the essence of the true name also contains...
I think that's the idea of it, no?
I don't think so. Maybe? I feel like I feel like it makes more sense that saying the spell gives you the ability to scry. So you got like hands on the wheels, and then you direct the scry to where it needs to be. That makes more sense to me. So it's less the magic just gets you to the point where you can scry. And then from there, it's up to you.
Okay. Well, because it doesn't, like, it works. I mean, the point would be if you don't know, like, where they are or what they're doing. So, like, would it make sense that it could be either, like, you do have an idea and you can, like, pilot the spell to that area until you find them, or you can just, like, punch in their true name and, the file explorer that is the world does the rest of the work.
I guess that's true. Or, like,
I think, like, it's a little bit more of a stretch, maybe, but I feel like it kind of incorporates both ideas.
I feel like you're right. I feel like it has to be something where it's like a file. Yeah, exactly like you were saying. It's a file explorer for the world where it just goes through everyone's like alphabetically. That's a joke. You would never index something alphabetically. That's horribly inefficient. But yeah, like you would go through the world and be like, all right, who matches this description? And I don't know if it so much has to do with like the inflection or like the creation of the world, but I think you can resolve it just with input like variable. It can just be like, we're already talking about being able to see people from anywhere. Why can't we talk about the fact that like maybe part of the magic that's because it's coming from the person and it contains a subjective element. When I think of the actual name Brahm, and then I use the true name spell, the true name spell knows who to look for because I know who Brahm is. And that way variables like friend also match because it's subjectively what you would find as a friend or what you would find as a savior. So I think that's a good middle ground.
Yeah, that seems to fit.
I'm still trying to think of a rule of 3 for a funny thing that you would put in as a variable. I don't know, maybe like hot ladies? I guess it kind of works. It's not really that funny. Yeah, hotties. That's what I'm going to do. Because then you would be able to find your perfect person. You'd be like soulmate. Oh, man, that'd be great. For those of you who haven't... For those of you who haven't already found your soulmate.
Just scry them. It's easy.
Yeah, just scry them. Just say the word. Just look at... You know what? If you really need it, if you want to know if someone's your soulmate, look them deep in the eye and just say, Drama or Koopa, and just think about them real hard. And... Oh, no, don't think about them. Think about your soulmate real hard.
And if you see them, then you're good.
There you go. It's like dating in the Eragon world is very easy if you have magic. Cool. And then let's just assume... I think we can also assume that maybe like the mind reading spells work in a very similar way.
Yeah.
Where it's like, the brain... I've just... My mind just went completely blank. We're like... Because you already have a connection to their energy. Mm-hmm. So what you're doing is mapping the energy of their brain.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got it. We have fundamentally explained how magic works in this world. Everything else will just fall into place. You
sound like,
No, don't you dare knock down this confidence.
Wow, this is going to be a long episode.
Yeah, no, we have done one thing.
Wow, fantasy worlds are hard, guys.
Yeah, we already swore off of hard sci-fi. We might have to swear off of fantasy, too.
Because they also take forever. So, let's do dragons. I think dragons are the next thing to really do. So dragons in this world, big old lizards...
Exist. A.
Exist. They
B,
lay eggs.
Solved. They exist.
Voila. Well, that's not the issue. You can see how maybe a large lizard, like maybe a dinosaur, would exist.
Right.
But the issue I have is, what is the mechanism that allows them to breathe fire? What is the mechanism that allows them to bond with a dragon rider and communicate with them telepathically? And how do they fly? I mean, just like, do they have hollow bones?
Well, they fly like bumblebees. Clearly.
That seems like that's a lot of energy to expend. They have very large wings. I don't think bumblebees is a good idea.
Okay, well let's...
On like a thermodynamic point, if you are riding on a bumblebee that was this large, you would for sure burn your crotch. Because those things heat up like crazy. Okay, good. I'm just making sure that we understand this. That's what's wrong with that idea.
So where are we starting? How do they breathe fire?
How do they breathe fire?
They have chemicals that they spit out their mouth.
Boom. I was hoping maybe let's put
breathe fire
hoping for
aside. Something a little more far-fetched.
I was thinking that now, but I feel like to me, I after doing this podcast for so long, I feel like we have these things where like there's very small like disparate pieces that get linked together once we come up with like the most difficult thing to answer. So I think the most difficult thing to answer is flying.
Okay.
And the thing I think the solution for it is that they're dirigibles.
Okay. They're full of flammable gas that they expel out their mouths to breathe fire.
Pretty much.
All right. Yeah. And the wings are largely just to steer.
Yeah. But the other idea I have is that maybe they have like bladders in them. Like, you know how fish have like ballast bladders?
Yeah, no, that's what I would think, because, they need to have some control of altitude.
Yeah, and essentially what they do is like controlling their density. Mm-hmm. So like they have like let's just throw out a good chemical, anhydrous ammonia.
You're all familiar with it, right?
Yeah, you guys all know anhydrous ammonia. You actually probably do. Just don't know yet. Don't breathe it in. It'll turn you to soap.
Or do, if you want to be soap.
Yeah. Who's going to stop you?
I'm
certainly
not
us. Yeah, we're not cops. And we're required to tell you that or else it's entrapment.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, so like what I'm thinking is that they have like liquid-filled sacs in their body. And what they can do is they can expand those liquid-filled sacs, and that causes the liquid to evaporate and become and maybe they can also heat it up, like they do like a phase change to change its density, so that when they want to go up, they just essentially expand the inside of their body. Mm-hmm. And then they can, and then also that's what enables them to like, because they can pressurize it, That's what enables them to, like, spit fire.
Right, as opposed to just dribbling it out of their mouths.
Yeah, that's a good way. That's like a good rap line. Like, I know, like, I spit fire and you dribble it out of your mouth. Like, that kind of thing. Like, maybe make, like, a thing about someone who has, like, a stroke or who, like, can't hold stuff in their mouth.
I'm looking forward to your next rap battle that I get invited to. Because it's going to be great, Simon.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't even know what my rap name would be.
Just also Simon.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is.
Very unassuming.
Yeah, it's like that's like having. There you go. Normal names also don't fit in rap battles. Like you have like all these great names like Gift of the Gab, Afro, Rugged Man. Those are all three guys from the same exact label who are fantastic.
Oh, there's also Kevin. Can't forget Kevin.
There's also Kevin. Yes. I think Kevin in any concept that's not the real, like, I want to say the real world, but it's not where people are usually named. It's a little strange. Even just, like, outside of, like, Anglo, like, imagine being in, like, a Chinese supermarket, and they're like, these are all my family names, and they go through all the clearly Chinese names, Mandarin names, and then they're like, oh, and this is my friend Kevin. And then you're like, okay.
Yeah.
And they're like, it means pleasant dreams. And you're like, it doesn't. It means Kevin. Wow. This is, okay, so we got like that down. What's the telepathic communication? Do we think that they just have, because they can do it without touching?
No, yeah, so is it actually telepathic communication, or like kind of a sympathetic, like they know kind of how the other feels?
It's
and they just like have a good vibe. It's just an actual, they're talking in each other's heads.
Yeah, it starts off as like a very simple, like, oh, here's pictures, but it develops. So maybe that's what it is. Maybe they have to build, like, so let's think for a second. Jeff, if I were to take your brain and put it into my brain.
Right.
And we were to communicate telepathically, there's no guarantee that the brain activity, the images that I generate are going to communicate with you. But maybe that's what this is that the part of the reason why dragon riders and dragons are linked so firmly is that when they're growing up, their brains are communicating with each other and learning the other language.
Okay, yeah. So they, like, interpret each other's, like, just raw data the same way.
Yeah. So, like emotions and pictures and things like that. But how do they do that from a distance? Do we think that... Okay, I know this is extreme.
Okay. That hasn't stopped you before.
I'm aware. And, like, I think I'm batting at least, like 150. So,
hey, that's
I'm not
as good as any other number.
The Dragon Rider has the ability to control pressure. The dragons pretty much have, like, pressure bladders in their body. Maybe the way they communicate like whales. Like it's vibrations.
Okay.
The only issue being is that air is not a really great transfer of sound, right?
Right.
Is there
maybe it's on that other layer of where all the minds live that you were thinking about.
No, I distinctly said that was not a scientific explanation. That was me trying to explain so. Oh my god, this is an adorable CGI dragon.
As Simon continues just Googling GIFs.
Just continues. It's not GIFs, okay? It's GIFs.
I'm pretty sure it is. I'm a language purist, thank you very much. It was GIFs in the beginning, and it will be GIFs for all time.
You're definitely not a language purist because...
No, I'm definitely not.
I don't see you spelling things any way you feel like it or things like that.
Right.
Or speaking whatever the original human language was.
Sorry, a very Eurocentric, Anglophile language purist.
Yeah, you actually go even beyond Anglophile because you're still using French words, so...
Yep, that's true. And a lot of other languaged words, too.
Yeah. Anyway.
Yep.
I'm just going to say that it's impeded by space. Like, you cannot communicate across the entire globe. That's that way my pressure theory works, because I like the idea that they're using Morse code. That's what I was getting at. I want them to use Morse code to communicate.
Okay, well, I mean, that could work well enough, I guess, depending on how far away they can communicate.
That's what I'm thinking. And and they just have it's like twin language. Like, they just automatically understand what the other one's saying because their brains have the same exact comprehension.
Right.
So I'm not going to get into dwarves and elves. I feel like we can do that a different time.
Yeah, it's been an hour. We can get into other fantasy species, races later.
Okay. Well, I was going to say that there are ones that are do you want to do one more?
I mean, if you want to, you're the one who does the editing.
I'll do one more. I feel like enough of this is going to get edited out because I did go get coffee in the middle of it. God, my voice is also really nasally.
That's fine. I filled in the time during that.
Oh, I'm sure it's fantastic. I'm going to hear it. So there is such a creature as a werecat. So this is one of the...
Like a person who can turn into a cat. Like, just a domestic cat.
Essentially, yeah. So they got to be sentient. They're one of the ancient races. So okay. I'm thinking ancient races means that they are early in the evolutionary line. This is this is the whatever that what is that fish that had arms?
Coelacanth? No,
sure, that works too. Coelacanth is close enough. This is the coelacanth of creatures.
Mm-hmm.
But they can use magic, but their changing shape is not magical.
So it's like a mechanical
It's a mechanical change.
Where does all of the mass go?
That's a good question. That's a kind of, Jeff, I have a very good podcast you should listen to. It's called Pedantic Handwavium. It's where they answer questions like that.
Really? Maybe I should subscribe to it.
Yeah. Maybe you should also show it to your friends. They're also on YouTube and Stitcher. And on Apple.
Oh, are we doing our sign-off now? Just apropos, out of nowhere, mid-question?
Mid-question. We gotta figure out how to answer it.
And then the next episode starts with the answer of this question, and then we do the intro?
Exactly.
I'm into
it. It's our, my brother and me, Final Yahoo.
Final Yahoo, yeah.
So where does the mask go? What's going on here, man?
It stays there. They just get real dense. It's real dense kitties.
I like the idea that you were like, I have two options: either a very lightweight human or a really heavy cat.
I just love the idea, oh, hey, kitty, you reach over to pick it up and, throw your back out.
It's a 180-pound cat. The English bulldog that lives upstairs is only, 50 pounds. Insane. Oh, my God. I don't think that's the thing, because I feel like...
Yeah, no, that's clearly ridiculous.
However, very funny if there's oh, we've got to find all the weird cats. And someone's like, how can we tell them apart from real cats? The guy's like, just pick them up. If they don't weigh 5 pounds, they're not a real cat.
Right.
Oh. Okay, where does the mask go? What's going on here? So, here's the issue. They're in the opposite. I was thinking maybe they were partial dragons and they could change their density.
Right.
Issue.
Oh, but it's not magic at all, though. I was thinking they were using some magic to shunt off part of them into a pocket dimension, but it's not magic at all.
I also don't like pocket dimensions.
Yeah, I was gonna give you a jumping off point.
That's true. I guess we've come up with worse ideas that are better jumping off points. I guess
farts, power, and flight.
What I'm really angry about is that it wasn't my idea that was crazy, and because you're not allowed to come up with crazy ideas.
Right. I'm supposed to slowly mold your crazy ideas into something halfway usable.
Yes, and then I take credit for them. Jeff, we have been doing this for 27 episodes.
I get the formula.
Boy, this is a very rambly episode too. Oh my God, where does this mask go? What is going on with this cat? So, okay, I was going to say...
These crazy cats! These crazy 200-pound cats.
So, I was thinking maybe they could change density, but they'd be changing density in the wrong direction. So, like, if they were normally a human weight and they were going down to cat weight, they would need to become less dense, but their body is physically getting smaller.
Right.
So they are purposefully becoming more dense. So they would have to have a mechanism that could overcome both the change in size and also make them lighter. I have no idea. But I like your idea. Maybe magic specifically refers to the use of the true language. And maybe they have this
okay.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying.
Yeah, where it just isn't recognized as magic, but it's not actually literally compressing your human body into a cat's body.
Yeah. What if what they're doing is their density actually stays, like, their density does increase, but their weight decreases? What if they have, like, the ability to control... I don't want to do that. That's stupid.
Just abandon the idea halfway through.
Well, I was going to say, what if they have the ability to control gravity, but I'm like, that just adds on a whole other layer, and I don't want to get into it. What if they have, like, what if they're... Oh, well, we've already kind of discussed the idea that, like, you could do nuclear fusion. Like, you could physically create water.
Okay.
What if that's what they're doing? Like, werecats have just these immense stores of whatever this ephemeral energy is that I don't remember if we ever figured out what it was. And
I think it was toasters.
That's what it was. That's right. It was toaster irons. And that way they can, what they're actually doing is creating and destroying mass. So, like, they're
and they're just, like, converting it into whatever that ephemeral energy source is.
Yeah, the only issue with that is that energy actually does have some mass. So if a creature has the same amount of energy proportional to the mass it had, it would weigh the same amount.
Yeah, that's fine. They're just real dense cats.
So that's what we're going to go with. They're just real dense cats.
I mean, we have an explanation of, like, where all of the matter goes.
It just turns into, I guess. Well, I was also thinking maybe they also can't just, like, go back and forth between cat and human. Maybe they shrink and they release the energy. And then it takes them a little while to, like, regain
Come back.
They slowly have to turn back into human mass to turn back into humans. I like that.
I can see that. Otherwise, they'd have to, like, store all of the energy also, which would be larger than cat size for those batteries, I think.
Yeah, probably. I mean, I don't know. Let's just do some quick math here. So if energy is equal to the mass of a cat times the speed of light, those units don't make any sense to me. So,
well, one of your units is cats, so that might be why.
it's mass of 1 equal, so it's 1 times the speed of light squared is equal to the energy in cats.
Right.
Yes, and that's a lot. I think I'm pretty sure that, like, a AA only contains, like, 10 to the, like, negative 17 cats of energy. So that's a lot. That's just back of the notebook calculation. That would be obviously
a lot of batteries.
Yeah, 10 to the 17th batteries. Which I don't know if that actually has a name of it. And I'll do the Nova thing.
Like it might. I don't know.
I'll do the Nova thing where they're like, and to visualize this, you imagine a 1 with 17 zeros at the end of it, and you're like, thanks. I have a bachelor's
Thanks
degree.
for explaining scientific notation.
Again. Cool. I'm going to say that that's good enough. This is a very long, rambling episode.
Yeah, it is.
Which is, I mean, sometimes you got to do that. You got to just relax, have a good time.
Talk about cats.
Talking about cats. Thanks for listening to Pedantic Handwavium, listener. We
enjoyed you being here.
Yeah, we love you being here. I'm gonna get real nice and warm to the mic.
Good.
We're on iTunes. We're on Stitcher. We're on
Spotify.
We're
on
YouTube.
The internet.
Yeah. We also have a website, and that website's URL is pedantichandwavium.com. That's PED.
Or pedantichw.com if you don't want to spell everything out.
Thanks to Joe Sopchak for our theme music. Things we talk about. We're on Twitter at Pedantic Handwavium.
I think it's P Handwavium, isn't it?
Oh, you're right. It is P Handwavium. Thank you.
Yeah, go to that website we discussed earlier and give us show suggestions. Is that it? Is that all the call to action we have? Can we wish them a good night now?
Yeah. Good night, guys.
All right, good night. We love you.
Good
Sleep well.
Yeah, don't be like that.